let's get your immediate response as we very quickly try to wrap up this segment. But how comes it seems to suggest, as he said, that you see some of these corrupt individuals running to the leading party to find a safe haven?
Well, it's commonsensical. Those who exercise political power for the wrong reasons, particularly to loot the resources of the state, also gravitate towards political power to get a bailout, to inoculate themselves from consequences. It is so in every society. If I were a president and you are undergoing trial, I won't associate, my body language will be different. But you know, we are where we are in this country. If a president of the country, for example, the president of Nigeria, had discriminated against political actors that are undergoing corruption, when the senior president, for example, was undergoing, before the Supreme Court cleared him clearly, you know, the president could then have said that even as a senior president, wanted to consult, I won't consult with you because you are undergoing corruption cases.
Is that not the right thing to do?
That won't be the right thing to do because he's a senior president. And this, the president of the country, they had constitutional duties to discharge. That example I've just given may not be apt for the Odinkalu's case that, Jiti feels very strongly about, understandably, because if you have a sense of ownership or a sense of belonging to a particular part of the country or a state, you know, and you see the plunder that is going on there, you'll be angry. I understand that. You know, but the point I'm making is that those who govern us need to worry about perception. I agree. We're on the same page with that. But I'm saying that some of the examples that have been given are not sufficient to then make the point, to pivot and conclude that the anti-corruption war is not. Look, apart from the conviction rates and corruption, that if you know the volume of the anti-corruption cases that have been decided by the Supreme Court, imperishable decisions. One is just the case of Daudu and FRN, where the Supreme Court, in part 1626 of the Nigerian Weekly Law Report, you know, in July, decided regarding the burden of proof in money laundering cases. Lawyers used to say that, yes, you have the one to prove. In many cases in this country, including the case involving the wife of the former president. Oh, you found money in his account. Prove that he stole the money. I have no duty to prove that I'm innocent. But the Supreme Court has now laid down as a rule, at the instance of the EFCC, because if EFCC didn't keep appealing or didn't prosecute any of these cases, we won't have this imperishable decision of the Supreme Court laying down as a rule of law now that under Section 19.3 of the Money Laundering Act, that if you have resources or property in your possession and there's an accretion in that property beyond your known source of income, it is not the duty of the EFCC or the prosecution to say you are guilty. It is your duty to now prove where you got this money. That's a shift in the body of proof, which is very significant. And there are other cases like that. I can be mentioning them. So the point I'm making is that if you look at it holistically, if you see the trend and the movement, it is not just a Magu victory. We're not celebrating Magu. No.
Mr. Jiti, because a lot of people will question the rationale behind some of the actions of the EFCC, for instance. They want to see that someone like Ediziani Alison Madueke is repatriated to Nigeria to face crimes against corruption and fraud. Is the EFCC putting the cart ahead of the horse in this case?
No, I don't think so. For whatever reason, this is my opinion. I think that at the point, the FCC perhaps didn't know what to do with the matter. Following that, the 2015 election, the lady left the country, former minister. And at the point, perhaps because she felt that it was better for her to come into Nigeria, because the law over there is more stringent I mean, we had the Ibori example. Perhaps Ibori would have said at the point that, oh, if I knew, I wouldn't have gone out of Nigeria. People don't, until recently, big men don't go to prison, particularly if they are politically connected, they don't go to prison in Nigeria. So at the point, it was reported that he said he needed to come into Nigeria to come and give evidence. In one case, perhaps he wanted to use that as a ploy to come back to Nigeria, believing that she was going to be better off in Nigeria in her own jurisdiction. But the EFCC opposed it. They didn't need her. Now EFCC is now saying that. So that's why I'm saying that, yes, we could have reservation about what EFCC, but there's a movement generally. So I make the point, therefore, that what the EFCC is doing now regarding the Zani is right. It's not a British citizen, it's a Nigerian citizen. So the allegation was that she committed offense in Nigeria. So she had a responsibility also to come into Nigeria to come and clear her name. That said, I would say that, and this addresses what Chidi was saying, the philosophical view I take about power is that the pendulum of power doesn't always swing and rest in one corner of life forever. That's why people say that power is transient. If you are in power and you are hiding some people today, you don't want them to be brought to justice, you'll be out of power tomorrow. And those people will have their sins revisited by other sets of people who will be in a position of power. So that's why, as much as it's possible, you have a personal duty to strive to do justice to all sorts of men, all manner of men that come before you. And that's what I would charge this administration. I'm quite happy that we have this movement. The FCC that we're talking about, when it started, up to the logo and all that, it required a lot. They started with 2-3 tables under Ribadu here, and now they have an edifice that is so huge. So we only hope that they can get better. If you ask me, are there things that can be done better? Of course, yes. For example, when I looked at the FCC logo, for example, when they send you a letter, invite you to come, there is this last thing there, they're like a motto, which says that we'll get you anywhere, anytime. You could just say, let justice be served. Because once some people get that, they're so frightened. EFCC, they will get me anywhere, anytime. Okay. They start running.
Okay.
Whereas if you engage the system, just go there, report, they've invited you to report, they're human beings, they are Nigerians.
Let's move on now to and get the thoughts of Mr. Professor Odinkalu. He says that this is likened to a pendulum where the fight against corruption doesn't just stop in one administration. Does that give you a sense of comfort that perhaps those who you complain are being shielded by the administration now will still face justice perhaps after this administration?
No, I like the philosophical framework that Jiti lays out. Again, on that, we are totally agreed that, power would shift. Of course, there's nobody who is ever in power forever because nobody lives forever. That said, there is also an argument that in Nigeria is a one-party state, and the only party in power is the elite. Today, they may be APC. Tomorrow, they will answer PDP. The following day, they will answer QED. All of that is just one party, different people branding themselves differently in different epochs for the eternal project of sitting in power and grabbing it and holding it eternally. That's one point of view about power. And therefore, while nobody lives forever, the reality also is that Nigeria has been ruled by a rather narrow clique for a heck of a long time, and that narrow clique determines what happens in the country and on what trajectory that it lives. So this conversation about corruption is actually also about something bigger than corruption. It's about how we envision a society in which many more Nigerians can get a fair shot at being able to contribute to how our country is shaped and governed. the cost of entry into the political game is so high that decent people like my brother-in-law, Jiti, are unable to contemplate on a regular, decent earning by themselves as professionals entry into the political game. And that on its own is very difficult and serious. If we cannot get honest people into the political game and political power, then in an intertemporal framework of the sort that he has constructed, it becomes difficult to really see us creating a system and sustaining a supply chain of people who can help us create that kind of better society and assure that we'll continue to improve generation to generation.